This is the Influencer Entrepreneurs Podcast with Jenny Melrose, where I strategize with business owners on how to grow and scale their businesses to hit their income goals. This is episode 171 of the Influencer Entrepreneurs Podcast with Jenny Melrose. Today, I am diving into what is Tailwind. We're going to be talking about how it's a great social media scheduler, and I'm going to be talking to Elisa Meredith all about the ins and outs of Tailwind, how you not only can use it for Pinterest, but also for Instagram. And it has some amazing tools that are going to save you time as a social media scheduler. So let's dive in. Welcome to the show, Elisa. How are you?
Hey, Jenny. I'm doing great. It's a little bit rainy here in Wilmington, North Carolina, but I'm one of the fortunate ones, I think, who's worked from home forever. So all this kind of social distancing thing is no big deal for me. How about you?
We're hanging in there for schooling and running a business and having a husband home. It's definitely interesting to say the least.
Wow, superwoman. Yeah. Okay.
Making it work. We have our moments, of course. Yes. But I am super excited to talk to you more about Tailwind and really get into that. Would you actually introduce yourself to my audience and tell us a little bit about your business?
Sure, absolutely. So I am the Pinterest product specialist at Tailwind. Elisa Meredith is my name. I should probably mention that part. I have been a Pinterest marketer since the beginning. Was just kind of curious as to how can this pinboard thing really help a business? So down the rabbit hole I went, and I have never, ever come out, and I'm not sad about it. So Pinterest promoted pins is something that I've spoken about quite a lot, and Pinterest SEO is kind of my latest obsession. But yeah, all things Pinterest because it works and it's also fun. To me, it's the best combination of art, creativity, and psychology, and a little bit of SEO.
I love it. No, so good. So let's start off with what specifically is Tailwind?
Okay, so Tailwind is a platform where you can plan, schedule, and analyze your Instagram and Pinterest marketing. So it makes it easy to do, guides you through the best ways to do it, and has great features like Smart Schedule for both Pinterest and Instagram, where it will kind of analyze your audience and when they're most likely to be on and engaged and create a schedule for you. So you can just drop your content in and it will go out at the best times for reach and engagement and traffic and all that good stuff you need.
Okay. And Tailwind has been around at least 5 years. Do you know how long it's been around for?
Oh my goodness, I should know that. I want to say it was 2012.
Okay.
But I'm super embarrassed that I'm not.
No. Oh my goodness, don't be embarrassed at all. And it wasn't a question I gave you. It's just as we're talking about it, I'm trying to think back how long I've been with Tailwind. I feel like it was in the very beginning when they first came out, and I'm not sure when exactly that was.
So Pinterest has been around 10 years now, so Tailwind is not that much newer than that. I know the same thing. Like I would always say Tailwind when I meant Pinterest, or say Pinterest when I meant Tailwind, long before I joined the team at Tailwind, just because it is so, to me, integral to success on Pinterest. When I would sign up a new client, they had to have a Tailwind account in order for me to do their Pinterest for them, because you just can't do it effectively without it, in my opinion. And it's been that way since way, way before I joined.
Yes, no, absolutely. All right. So when many people think of Tailwind, they think of it for Pinterest. So let's go over some of the most up-to-date changes made there over the past year since Pinterest went public and came out with specific guidelines for bloggers that I know many bloggers kind of got a little crazy about.
I don't know what you mean. Yes, I do. So last month, we hosted a Facebook Live with Lucy from Pinterest, where that's where they went public about these changes to the Pinterest algorithm. So previously, and I'm sure we've all noticed this, that the content that would appear in our feeds, a lot of it you had seen before. Like you recognized it, and your older content really still did great, and you could continue to share and share and share the same content to the same board, and it would still build your results. Well, Pinterest happened to notice, well, they didn't happen to notice, they pay attention to these things, that Pinterest users were really engaging and responding well when a pin went out onto the platform for the first time. So that duplicate content was performing less well. So with an aim to making the platform exciting and fresh and someplace where people want to return over and over again, they have started to change the algorithm so that it's not just the most relevant pin or the most popular pin from the ages. It's starting to really bring in more of that newer content that has just been shared to Pinterest for the very first time. So you'll still see older content. You'll still see like relevant content still really matters. But if you had a piece of content that was relevant in a certain situation, a certain search, and it had been shared 100 times, and it was old, and then next to it you had a piece that was equally relevant but was new, you might start to see that newer piece creep up in the results. So they have been really open about the fact that, this is a process. So it's not like they flip a switch and it changes the whole algorithm. So I know if people are saying like, oh, but my older content still works when I reshare it again, so this can't be real. Well, but it is a process. So you're going to start to see more and more of that fresh content making its way into the feed and search and everywhere else.
And that live broadcast, I do want to note, I was watching live and I was watching some of the comments and the way that you handled things. And I have to tell you, you handled it so professionally. I know that some of the things that people, the way that they kind of went off the deep end, that as bloggers, the sky is falling and this is the end of the world kind of thing. But you handled it so well. I just wanted to make sure I told you that. The other piece of that for me was that although this was kind of like the first time Tailwind and Pinterest were like together on a live broadcast, I feel like Pinterest has been saying this for months, almost close to a year, that this is what they were starting to go towards. This wasn't the first time I heard this.
No, and I think as bloggers and content creators ourselves, we noticed that, right? We felt that change happening, and many of us had already started to implement these changes. So it was not a big deal for us. I think but I mean, anytime you're asking people to do something that takes more work, there's going to be kind of some, I don't say freak out, but I guess that's what it was. But I do want to be really open about the fact that when we first started talking to Pinterest about these changes, we freaked out a little bit too. Because what we heard and what I think a lot of people heard on the broadcast, even though we tried to say it over and over again, what they heard was that you can never reshare the same pin again. Right. That's not true at all. But I think that's what they thought they heard, and then they stopped listening. And so I can completely understand the reaction. The truth is that fresh content is going to get you your best results. But can you share the same pin to several relevant boards? Absolutely, you can and you should, because it still gives that added context to your pin for Pinterest to know how to categorize it and how to show it in search and other places. Can you still save the same pin to the same board at a reasonable interval with Smart Loop? Yes, absolutely you can. But just be aware that as time goes on, and when we should be starting to see it now, your fresh pins, your brand new pins that go out, that should be giving you the best results. So, I mean, if you want to keep doing it like you have been, you can, but it's not the best solution. Like, just get in the habit now and you're going to be ahead of the game.
Yes, I absolutely agree. And I feel like Pinterest guidelines just kind of set us up so that if we were one that was using pin, I think that what was most eye-opening to me was I really saw, based on the comments and the bloggers that were commenting, who was using it just to push their content out like crazy. I mean, the fact that you heard some bloggers were talking about they pin 100 pins of their own content and they're pinning it to the same boards all the time. And I just kind of sat back and I was like, that changed years ago. How are we still doing that?
Right.
So what were some of the, I guess, changes maybe that Tailwind made for those that were maybe pinning 100 times a day to the same exact boards all day long?
Yeah. So we have implemented something called Smart Guide, which looks at your pinning habits and behaviors and will kind of flag when we see something that could be putting you at unnecessary risk of being flagged for spam. And you won't be able to miss it. It will pop up. And it will tell you, like, our most successful members tend to pin in the range of 15 to 25 times per day. And that's another thing. People heard that or they saw that and they said, oh, Tailwind is limiting me to 15 to 25 pins per day. It's not true. but what we're telling you is we actually looked at the numbers and here is the range where we're seeing people have the most success. So you can pin less than that, you can pin more than that, but we're just telling you, like, here's what you might want to aim for. And yeah, like if you feel like the guidelines we put in place, like, they don't apply to me, like maybe I have 100 new products that come out every day, so I need to pin more. Well, you can disable Smart Guide. Like, don't recommend it, but there are cases where, like, if it makes sense for you, hopefully, if you have all that fresh content to go out. Yeah. So like for someone who blogs once a month, to pin 50 times a day is just too much. Like, you could never have enough content to be fresh and engaging with that many pins per day. But someone who's blogging 5 times a day, that might be reasonable with all your backlog and everything.
Whether you're a seasoned podcaster or just thinking of starting a podcast, you need to listen to Buzzcast from the folks at Buzzsprout. Here we go! Buzzcast covers everything a podcaster should know, from marketing strategies and how to make money from your podcast to the latest and greatest tech and industry insights to keep you on the cutting edge. Follow Buzzcast by clicking the link in the description or go to buzzcast.buzzsprout.com and keep podcasting.
Yes. And I knew one of the stipulations that was put out by bloggers that have been around for a while that, I helped develop Pinterest and I was one of the first ones to start pinning there. And I think that, they are saying my content, I don't have all the time to be able to make all these pins, whatever else it might be. And my recommendation to them was, don't use it. You're also not going to see the traffic. This is a free platform that we're not being charged for in order to have traffic come back to us. And I believe Tailwind is doing their best to set us up so that we don't get flagged as spam and we have new content coming out and we're set up in the right light to know that what we're doing is correct. And I love the way that you guys have done that, because it does. It notifies you very simply, hey, this isn't what they're looking for. This is going to go beyond what maybe a board too often or whatever it might be. So I just found it extremely helpful. And I felt that you guys were very transparent about why you were doing it. It wasn't being done to hold people back. It was done to protect us. So I think that that's just so important.
Yeah, and it's important too, as partners, that we work with Pinterest towards their goals for the platform, which are for everyone's benefit. Like, if we have a platform on Pinterest where we're seeing the same content over and over and over again, are people going to want to come back? No, they're not. So they're not going to see your content either. So it really is for the benefit of everybody. And we are working on plans to help make image creation easier for people. So that is definitely in the works, because I know that's a pain point for people, especially if they feel like they don't have enough content, so they have to make many, many images for one piece of content, which is great too. Like, you could make pins for each heading in your article, right? So you could use the text from a heading as a whole new pin, like text on image. There are so many things that you could do. So we're really working to make that easier for people.
So when you say you're making, looking to make it easier, are you going to be creating pins? Is that something Tailwind's going to be possibly adapting to in the near future?
Yes, that is something that we are looking at.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's exciting to know that that's another opportunity to be able to get those pins filled, because I know that was one of the things that came up is how am I supposed to make all of these pins?
Completely understand that. Yeah. And people are like, I'm not a designer, I get that. We need an easier way to make our content engaging, exciting, inspiring, and like fresh. Yeah.
And I had never thought of the idea of changing up the writing on the picture to be the headings that Google is searching for. So now that actually makes it like you have more images that can then be crawled that are appropriate to the headings that Google's looking for SEO.
Yep.
Genius. So smart.
Well, it wasn't my idea, but I'm going to share it as much as I can.
I love it. I think that it's so smart. Especially Tailwind's going to be taking that on as a possible service to offer, just to make it easier. It's just going to help content get out there and make it so that we can continue to grow our audiences.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So with that, when it comes to the scheduling, you said 15 to 25 is like the recommendation that Tailwind gives as far as how many pins should be going out?
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be different for everybody, right? So if you don't blog that much, maybe that's too many for you. If you blog a ton, maybe that's not enough. But that's just like looking at our most successful members, that was kind of the range that we saw.
And is there a ratio interval setting that we should be keeping in mind when we're re-pinning things to different boards?
Yeah, so we built a lot of that into the product now. So that's like a smart guide feature. So when you go to share, like if you're sharing to multiple boards at a time, there are suggested intervals for you. Okay. So like you can pick the one you want. I think the default is 7 days, but yeah, you can mess with that if you want to. And the same with Smart Loop. So Smart Loop was built and Pinterest was in on it the whole time, right? And so those recommendations are built into Smart Loop so that you won't be sharing the same pin to the same board too often if you use Smart Loop.
Okay. Now, one of the things, obviously, you love Pinterest, and I also wanted to ask just a little bit about Tailwind and Instagram, because I love the fact that Tailwind also has that feature to be able to schedule over there to Instagram. Mm-hmm. What does that kind of look like as far as what you're able to do with Tailwind and Instagram?
Yeah, so we have Smart Bio. So, people love to have that link in bio, but it's only one link. Well, Smart Bio is incredibly customizable and just really easy to use, and people love it. So I would recommend checking that out, and that's free to use. And then the cool thing about that is when you schedule from Tailwind to Instagram, you can have your link go to your Smart Bio right as you're scheduling. So it's not like you have to post thing, then you have to log in, then you have to update your link. You can go right from there, which I think is very cool. And so that's free. And then we have a planner. So if you're anything like me, and I've honestly kind of given up on Instagram for business because Tailwind takes most of my time. So I just use it for fun now. But when I was really trying to build an agency, that was the hardest thing for me. Like, what in the world am I going to post? I work from my house. I don't go out that much. My life is kind of the same every day. What am I going to do? So you can use these example posts. So I'm right in my publisher right now in Instagram, or Tailwind for Instagram. And there are caption templates. There are examples that they think you might like to start from. There are post prompts. There are holidays you can post about. And then with the caption templates, like if you feel like, all right, today feels like a good day to inspire someone, like you can filter by that. Or if I feel like, all right, today I really need to promote my business, you can filter by that and get some, like, it's almost like Mad Libs or kind of fill in the blank template prompts for that. And then you can also you can get images right from inside of Tailwind. So as you're creating an image, you can search for, you can choose a free stock photo. And then I think something people really love about Tailwind for Instagram is a hashtag finder.
Yes.
Man, because hashtags were always my afterthought, which is so bad because they're so important. So you can start typing your caption and it will suggest hashtags for you. And it will tell you about that hashtag, like, oh, this one is very competitive. This one's very niche. So like real specific to you, but might not have a ton of traffic. So you can get a mix of the different hashtags types and increase your chances of getting more discovery. So I love that about it. But really, we're just trying to take most of the hard work out of Instagram for people by providing the images, by providing post captions, just providing as much inspiration as we can. And then, of course, with Smart Bio, trying to take as many steps as we can out of the process for people. And then, like, you can come in and schedule a week's worth in half an hour, 45 minutes, and be done with it for the week, which is great.
Right. And I think that that's what we need to be thinking about as Tailwind, as a scheduling tool that gives us that time back where we can have the pins as well as the Instagram posts ready to go, knowing what we're going to plan out. Because I think when it comes to running a business, there's so many different social media platforms that you're trying to be on all at once. And Tailwind gives us the opportunity to really be able to plan out, schedule it, and give us that time back to put our efforts elsewhere instead of trying to live pin or live post to Instagram. And the fact that it gives all those captions, because I think that is what holds a lot of people up, is they'll post a picture and think, oh, it's just Instagram, but you need to have that caption so that people understand how to interact with you. So it's great that it has that inspirational piece.
Yeah. And I feel like you really have to do a mind shift. So there's that switching cost, right? When you're doing one thing, you have to move to another. What does it take, like 20 minutes to get your head in the game? So if you can just do it all at once and just then move on to another task, you're going to be so much more efficient in your day, no matter what you're doing. But yeah, this just makes it super easy. And I know a lot of people really want their 9 grid in Instagram to look good. So we have like a drag and drop preview thing, so you can see like exactly how your feed's going to look. A lot of really great new features that have come out over the last year in Instagram. And now we've just kind of put them all together and helping people to just do it faster, easier, better, simplest. Yeah.
No, absolutely. And I feel that you do. I mean, Instagram right now is a place where if you're trying to build a brand, that's where you're looking to do it, to get that engagement. It's not necessarily about traffic. It's more about building that brand and having that influence with the audience that you do have. So I think that Tailwind, has done such a great job of making it easier for those of us to do that with Instagram.
Thank you.
Yes, no. So now, where are the best places to follow along, get the latest info on Tailwind?
So the blog is a really good one. So Tailwind app /blog. And then we do a lot of Facebook Lives every other week. We have one on Pinterest topics. So our Facebook page is great as well.
Yes,
and of course, Instagram.
Right. No, of course. I was going to actually, if you didn't bring up your Facebook page, because that is where I find the most up-to-date information. And honestly, that's where I'm always sharing content on my Facebook page, is normally from your Facebook page.
Oh, thank you.
Really valuable information that works well. So, Lisa, I appreciate you so much for taking the time
Thank you, Jenny. It's fun.
And really dive into further with Tailwind and just kind of, I think, squash some of those bias falling kind of feelings when it comes to Pinterest. I think that the way that they're it almost levels the playing field. It gives those that haven't had a chance to be in the game as long a chance to have their content out there and to be seen and valued. So
could not agree more. Yeah. Thanks for having me on. It was good to see you again.
Yes, you too.
Okay.
All right, guys. Well, there you have it. Clearly, I honestly believe that Tailwind is an awesome social media scheduler for not only Pinterest, but also for Tailwind. I am so excited about it. And I think that they've just done things right with the changes that have come about when Pinterest has made different decisions about how content is going to be seen. So I would highly recommend that you, if you are not already using it, that you take a chance and sign up. There is a link that is going to be in the show notes that you can make sure that you sign up for that. If you're listening to the episode, I would so appreciate it if you took a screenshot and tagged me at Jenny_Melrose, as well as at Tailwind's app on Instagram, and let us know that you were listening into the episode. You know I love hearing your takeaways and what you were able to apply to your business. I appreciate y'all so much. And until next time, I will see you then.